There's something strange about the world we live in now. Even when we step outside, even when the sun is shining, even when the trees are moving in the wind and the horses are grazing peacefully, there's still this invisible pressure following us everywhere. A pressure to keep moving, to keep producing, to keep achieving, to constantly become more. Hi there, and welcome. Today's video is going to be a little different. Yes, it's still about horses, but it's also about life, about health, about expectations, about learning to let go of control, and about the lessons animals teach us that modern society seems to have forgotten. Lately, I've spent a lot of time just sitting quietly with my horses. Not riding, not training, not working toward a goal. Just sitting, watching, listening. And when you spend enough time observing horses, you start to realize something. They do not measure their worth by productivity. They are not worried about whether they're behind in life. They are not comparing themselves to anyone else. They're not rushing to optimize every second of the day. They simply exist as they are. And somewhere along the way, I think humans have forgotten how to do that. Especially here in the United States, there's this deeply rooted belief that your value as a person is tied to how much you accomplish. We glorify exhaustion. We praise people for overworking themselves, for pushing through pain, for ignoring burnout, for sacrificing rest in the name of success. Hustle culture, grinding, never stop, as if slowing down somehow makes you less worthy. And for a long time, I believed that too. I believed I always had to be doing something, improving something, achieving something. That if I wasn't constantly moving forward, I was failing. But chronic autoimmune disease has a way of forcing you to confront reality. It strips away the illusion of control. Because no matter how disciplined you are, no matter how motivated you are, sometimes your body simply says no. And that can be incredibly difficult to accept, especially when your mind still wants to do all the things it used to do. There are days where my soul wants to ride for hours, to train, to work outside all day, to feel strong and capable and productive. And then there are days where just existing takes energy. Days where my body feels heavy, where inflammation and fatigue completely change what I'm capable of. And I think one of the hardest parts of chronic illness is grieving the expectations you had for yourself. Not necessarily grieving who you are, but grieving the version of life you imagined. Because we're taught that if we work hard enough, we can control outcomes. But life doesn't work that way. Bodies change. Circumstances change, people change. And resisting that reality only creates more suffering. My horses have taught me that over and over again, because horses do not fight reality the way humans do. If the weather changes, they adapt. If the herd shifts, they adapt. If the seasons change, they adapt. They are deeply connected to the present moment. Not yesterday, not 6 months from now, not some imaginary timeline society created. Just now. And being around that energy resets something in me. It reminds me that peace is not found in control. It's found in acceptance. Not giving up, not losing ambition, but learning the difference between healthy striving and self-destruction. Learning when to push and when to rest. Learning that flexibility is not weakness. Nature itself is flexible. Trees bend in storms so they don't break. Water changes shape depending on where it flows. Animals rest when they need to rest. They do not attach morality to exhaustion. Only humans do that. And in many ways, I think a lot of us are deeply disconnected from what our minds and bodies are actually asking for. We override ourselves constantly. We ignore stress, ignore exhaustion, ignore anxiety, ignore burnout. until eventually the body forces us to pay attention. Stress is not just emotional, it becomes physical. Living in constant fight or flight changes the body. It changes the nervous system, it changes inflammation, it changes health. And yet modern culture almost rewards that state of being. Busy equals important, exhausted equals hardworking, overwhelmed equals successful. But when I sit out here with my horses, none of that feels real anymore, and I know it's not real, because they don't care about status or productivity or timelines. They care about safety, connection, presence, rest, and their environment. The things living beings were always meant to care about. Sometimes I'll come outside feeling guilty because I think I should be doing more. Maybe it's a beautiful day and I think I should be riding, I should be training, I should be accomplishing something. And meanwhile, my horses are perfectly content just grazing in the sun, completely at peace with simply being alive. And I realize maybe that's the lesson. Maybe not every beautiful day has to become a productive day. Maybe sometimes it's enough just to experience it, to feel the wind, to hear the birds in the distance, to watch horses moving quietly through the grass, to exist without every moment turning into a goal. I think so many people today are emotionally exhausted because we were never taught how to rest without guilt. We don't know how to be still. Silence makes us uncomfortable. Rest makes us anxious. Doing nothing feels wrong. But animals don't live that way. Nature doesn't live that way. And maybe that's why being around horses and in nature feels healing for so many people. They pull you out of the chaos humans created. They bring you back to something older, something instinctual, something honest. They remind you that life is not a race, that worth is not earned through suffering, that there is wisdom in slowing down enough to actually notice your life while you're living it. Autoimmune disease has changed a lot for me, more than half my life. There are things I cannot do the way I once imagined. There are plans that have had to change, expectations I've had to release, versions of myself I've had to let go of. But strangely, in some ways, it has also made me more aware of what actually matters. Because when your energy becomes limited, you stop wasting it on things that don't matter. You become more intentional, more present. You start valuing peace differently. And maybe that's part of acceptance too. Understanding that life does not always unfold according to our plans. But that doesn't mean it stops being meaningful. Sometimes adaptation is its own kind of strength. Not forcing life to match the picture you originally had in your head, but learning how to live fully within reality as it exists now. That's something horses understand naturally. They don't sit in resentment over yesterday. They don't obsess over tomorrow. They simply meet the moment they're in. And that shifts your perspective. I think there's profound wisdom in that. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed lately, if you've been feeling behind, if your body or your mind has been asking you to slow down, maybe this is your reminder that your worth is not measured by constant productivity. You do not have to earn rest. You do not have to justify slowing down. And you're not failing because your path looks different than someone else's. Sometimes strength looks like perseverance, and sometimes strength looks like acceptance. Sometimes healing begins the moment we stop fighting reality and start learning how to move with it instead of against it. And for me, my horses remind me of that every single day. So instead of trying to accomplish something extraordinary, maybe it's enough just to be here, breathing, present, alive. And the beautiful part is that might already be more than enough. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.